Hello and welcome to this lecture, and in this lecture what we will do is that we will build the food activity. So for that what we need to do is that we simply need to go to the app folder and create a new activity, and that is going to be an empty activity. So let's name this activity as food activity. And we also need the layout file along with this. So for the previous activity, which was the food category activity, we didn't have any XML layout, but for this activity we are going to have that. So simply click finish. And once we have this activity, the first thing which we will do is that we will go into the XML layout of this activity. So this is the XML layout for the food activity, and here we are actually going to make some modifications. So this is actually going to be a linear layout, and the orientation of this layout is going to be vertical. And then the first thing which we will do is that we will add in a text view over here for displaying the name of our product. So that is going to be text view, and the layout width is going to be, let's say, match parent, and the height is going to be wrap content. And let's give it an ID as name, and let's create another text view right below it. So we type text view, and the width is going to be match parent and height is going to be wrap content, and the ID of this is going to be, let's say, DESC, which stands for description. So here we have the name, here we have the description, and let's also go ahead and create an image view on top of these two things, but we are going to do that in the next lecture. So once we have these two text views, we are pretty much good to go. Now what we need to do is that we need to make sure that when a certain item from the food category activity, that is this activity, whenever some item is clicked, the ID of that item gets passed to the food activity, and the details of that particular product are displayed in these two text views. So for that what we will do is that we will go back to the food activity, and in here our first job is to basically get the ID, which is nothing but the food number. So here what we will do is that we will create a variable. So we will type public static final string, and this is extra underscore food number. So this is basically the variable which we have used over here. So we will equate this to, let's say, food number for now. And once this thing is done, the next thing which we need to do is that we need to get this particular number from the intent. So we basically need to get the particular food item selected from the intent. So in onCreate, what we do is that we type int, let's say food number equals, and then typecast the whole thing to an integer, and then type get intent. And to get the extras, we type get extras. So that is basically to get the extra information from your intent. Then type in dot get, and then you specify the parameter which you want to get. So here we want to get the extra food number. So once we have that food number with us, we are basically good to go. So once we have the information about the number, that is the food number, the next thing which we need to do is that we need to go ahead and get the food object. So we type food, which is the class name. Let's name the object as food equals food dot foods. So basically we are getting the array elements, and here you could pass in the food number which we have got just right here. So once we get that, the next thing which we need to do is that we now need to populate the two text views which we have in this activity right here. So again, we jump back to the food category activity, get a reference to the text view. So we type text view name equals, let's typecast it to text view, then find view by id r.id dot name. So we have a reference to the text view name. Now let's get a reference to the text view description. So text view DESC equals text view find view by id r.id dot description. So once we have the reference, you could basically go ahead, extract the name and description information from this food object and assign it to the respective text views. So we type name dot set text, and to basically get the text value, what we do here is that we type food dot get name. So get name method is basically the method which is going to return the name of that particular food item, and then description dot set text, and we type in food, not food number, that should be food dot get description, which basically returns you back the description of that particular food item. Okay, so once this thing is done, we are pretty much good to go. So now let's basically go ahead, save the code, and run this application on our device so as to check if this thing works correctly. So let me just save the code and run this application. So as you could see, the application is up and running, and when I basically select the eat option, we get pizza, burger, and sandwich. So when I hit pizza, as you could see, it says pizza, thin crust pizza with extra cheese. Now if I take this thing back and click on burger, it says burger, veg burger with healthy stuff. And when I click on sandwich, it says sandwich, whole wheat sandwich. So that's it for this lecture, and I hope you guys were able to understand how to build this application, which is by using a list view. So in the next and final lecture, what we will do is that we will basically go ahead and add an additional image view to this particular activity so that we could also display a particular image which is associated with the particular food product. So that's it for this lecture, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you.